The story begins in a prison workshop where a man is quietly going about his business. Looking at the camera, he says, "This is my story." 1947, La Santé Prison, Paris. You can see a strange sense of calm in his eyes and a hidden strength deep inside. The story flashes back to a cell block in that same prison where a new inmate named Claude has just arrived. He's brought before the warden. He has a gold-plated lighter which he had hidden nearby. The warden asked him, "You know lighters aren't allowed in here, right?" Claude answered calmly, "It doesn't work. There's no fluid in it. It's just something I'm attached to. That's why I kept it." But the warden shut him down, saying, "You'll get it back when you're released. For now, we're holding on to it." After that, Claude was moved to another cell where 4 other inmates were already living. The second he stepped inside, an inmate named Manu snapped at the guard. "There are already 4 of us in here. Now you're cramming in a 5th?" The guard yelled back, "Yeah, now there are 5 of you, and he's staying right here. It's an order from up top, not my call." With that, the guard left. Claude could tell this wasn't exactly a warm welcome. So he said softly, "I didn't ask to be here. They're fixing up my old cell." He spoke so politely that the tension in the cell eased up a little. One by one, everyone introduced themselves. First was Vaselin, then Roland, and finally Gio. Gio started firing off weird questions at Claude. "You got a wife? You in love with her?" Claude cracked a small smile and said, "I have a wife, but she's not the one I love." Hearing that, they all smiled. After a conversation like that, the mood in the cell became totally normal. Just then, a guard brought in a sheet of cardboard. The inmates had to make cardboard boxes out of them. Manu quickly spread an old cloth under the sheet, and they all got to work. Food from the kitchen had also arrived. Everyone sat down and ate together. Then a guard came and told Claude he had a package. So Claude went to get his package. The moment he left, the other 4 started talking about him. They all seemed to like Claude, but nobody trusted him. The truth was, they were all planning to escape from prison and were trying to decide whether to include Claude in their plan or not. Meanwhile, Claude's package just had some food items. But every single item was thoroughly checked, and he didn't get his stuff back until everything was cleared. When Claude got back to the cell, he felt that something had changed. Everyone was keeping a bit of a distance from him. Claude asked, "Is everything all right?" Manu asked him straight up, "What are you in for?" Claude replied, "Murder. Me, my wife, and her younger sister Nicole all live together. One day, my wife started shooting at me. I tried to grab the gun from her, but it went off by accident, and the bullet hit her right in the shoulder. Then she accused me of trying to kill her." Hearing this made the others angry. They were all shocked that a wife could do something like that to her husband. Gio asked, "Is your wife rich?" Claude nodded and said, "Yeah, she's rich, but I don't love her anymore. I was having an affair with her younger sister, Nicole." After hearing that, they all understood why his wife had tried to kill him. Then Manu asked Claude, "You think you'll ever get out of here?" Claude stayed quiet. Just then, Roland laid out his plan for him. "The 4 of us are breaking out of this prison, and maybe you can be a part of it." Claude was shocked to hear this. Roland told him, "I've already escaped 3 times before." After talking with them a bit more, Claude felt incredibly lucky that out of all the cells, this was the one he got moved to. He asked, "When are we breaking out?" Roland replied calmly, "We're waiting for morning. We can't work in the dark." During the day, there was a lot of noise coming from outside the prison. The 5 of them took this noise as an opportunity for their plan. Using the cover of the noise, the 5 of them moved their plan forward. They decided that whenever there were loud noises from outside, they would use them as cover to dig a hole under the cardboard boxes. After a little more talk, everyone went back to work. They all acted perfectly normal, as if nothing strange was going on at all. That night, Vaselin and Claude were sitting and talking about life. Vaselin asked Claude about his personal life. Claude told him he had a tough childhood. "My mom passed away when I was just a little kid, and 5 years after that, I lost my dad in a car accident. I was raised by my grandma after that." They fell asleep while talking. The next morning, Roland was the first one to wake up. A little later, the prison guards came and started opening all the cell doors to give the inmates their morning coffee. Roland served coffee to everyone in their cell. They all had their coffee, and a normal morning began. After that, Roland pulled out a hidden piece of glass from the corner of the wall, which he had hidden there himself. He broke the glass, kept a small piece for himself, and flushed the rest down the toilet. Just then, 2 prison guards came into the cell to do a search. It was their routine checkup, which they did in every cell. Roland knew this was coming, so he hid the piece of glass in his mouth. The guards checked all his belongings and then searched the entire cell. After the search, they left. As soon as they thought the guards were gone, Roland took out the piece of glass and attached it to the handle of a brush to look outside through the back of the cell door. He saw that the guards were standing watch outside. Then Roland said that now that the cell search was over, they could start digging again. Claude was given the job of keeping a lookout with the brush. If you see a guard coming close, it's your job to let us know. Then, Roland took apart a piece of a chair-like object which was made of heavy iron. They were going to use that heavy piece of iron for digging. Then, they all started moving the cardboard sheets that had the cloth spread underneath. Roland removed the tiles, and he and Manu started digging into the floor. There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so the sound of their digging didn't reach any other part of the prison. After working hard for a long time, they had dug a hole about 3 feet deep. Then they cleared the dirt from the hole and saw a concrete floor underneath. They broke that concrete slab too and saw an empty space below. Roland said, "Tonight, 2 of the 5 of us will go down this way and find a way out." They put the dirt back in the hole, placed the tiles back on top, and spread the cardboard sheet over it again. The spot looked completely normal now. When night fell, they all made dummies out of blankets and cardboard and laid them on their beds. So if a guard looked from outside, it would seem like 5 people were sleeping in the cell. They had tied ropes to the hands and feet of these dummies, which they could pull to make them move a little. Just then, a guard came. He knocked on the cell door and peeked inside through the peephole. Gio, Vasselin, and Claude, who were under the blankets, waved their hands in response. The guard saw that there were 2 other figures who were also moving slightly under their blankets. So he moved on. After the guard left, Manu checked again with the mirror on the brush. When everything was clear, Roland unscrewed a part of the table and pulled out an iron blade from inside, which they were going to use as a cutting tool. After that, Roland and Manu climbed down into the hole. Below was the entire sewer system. There was an iron grill there, which they cut with their cutting tool and slipped through. They saw that they had reached the prison's basement. In the basement, they found several doors. One door led towards the sewer system. Just as they were exploring, 2 cops came into the basement. They had come for a smoke and a routine check. Roland and Manu hid behind a pillar. The cops looked around for a bit and then left. Roland noticed that the locks were temporary and that breaking or picking them could get the job done. Right there, they cut off a piece of an iron rod to use as a key to open the door. After the first door, they reached a second door, but found no way through. At the third door, Roland picked the lock, and Manu suggested that maybe all the locks, just like in the prison, opened with the same key, so that the guards wouldn't have to carry different keys. They opened the third door and found another small door inside with a different kind of lock on it. They cut the hinges of that door with their cutting tool and removed the entire door without even opening the lock. Behind that door was a sewer line. As they moved forward, they saw a large concrete wall blocking the sewer path. Roland checked the wall and saw that it was pretty solid. But then he scratched the wall next to it and the cement started to crumble. He said, "This wall isn't as strong. It's made of the same cement as the prison. Next time we'll bring tools. We can break through it." Then they both headed back to their cell. Just then, Claude saw from the cell door that guards were opening and checking all the cells. As soon as they heard the guards' footsteps, Claude, Vasselin, and Gio became instantly alert. Lines of worry appeared on their faces. Manu and Roland quickly climbed out of the hole and quietly got back inside their cell. The moment they were inside, Roland immediately picked up the dummy that was on the hole and dropped it inside. Then they all worked together to put the tiles back in place and pulled the cardboard sheet over it, covering the area as if nothing had happened. Everyone got into their spots and laid down on their beds. When the guards came to check their cell, they peeked inside but didn't see anything unusual. They thought everything was normal, so they moved on. After the guards left, everyone took a deep breath. After coming back from below, Vasselin asked Roland, "What happened down there?" Roland said with a slight smile, "We found a way out. We just need to dig a small tunnel." Claude immediately asked, "Why were you guys down there for so long?" Roland snapped back, "You got a watch? I don't either. Lost track of time, sir. Sorry." The next morning, Vasselin went for a medical checkup. There, he distracted the doctor by making small talk and stole 2 glass bottles that were kept there. On his way back, he also put some sand from a drum into his pocket. Back in the cell, he showed the bottles to Roland. Roland immediately understood it was time to make sand clocks. Together, they made a sand timer that would let them know that as soon as the sand filled the bottom container, 30 minutes had passed. Now, both of them, Roland and Manu, went down again and set the sand clock on a thin wooden plank. The two of them started to break down the tunnel wall. With a solid plan, they decided that they would come up every 30 minutes to make sure everything was safe in the cell. One day, while Claude and Manu were working in the tunnel below, Roland and Gio were up in the cell. Just then, Gio said to Roland, "I don't want to escape from this prison with you." Roland was a bit surprised. He said, "Why? Are you crazy?" Gio said softly, "My mom. The last time I was caught, she went into a state of shock. Her health is already poor. If I escape again, the police will go straight to her, and I can't put her through more stress. What will I do if she dies?" Roland understood his point. He had never forced anyone to do anything, and even today, he just nodded his head in agreement. That night, Gio and Roland went down and started working on the tunnel. Gio kept breaking the wall continuously. He said to Roland, "I think we're very close." The wall felt solid again, which filled him with energy, and he started breaking it even faster. Suddenly, a pile of rubble from the wall fell on top of him. Roland immediately rushed and pulled Gio out from under the debris. Both of them were in bad shape, but they were alive. As soon as they got back to the cell, they both took a shower so that no cop would get suspicious of them. The next morning, everyone was shaving when a guard came and told Claude, "You have a visitor." Claude immediately went to the visiting room. The person who came to see him was his wife's younger sister, Nicole. Nicole asked Claude how he was doing. Claude asked her directly, "Are you still living with your sister?" Nicole replied, "Yeah, the house is as much mine as it is hers. We don't talk much anymore, but she still loves you. You should talk to her. Maybe she'll even drop the case." Claude replied with a hint of bitterness, "I've already spoken to her lawyer. He made it clear that she's not dropping the case." Nicole said gently, "Maybe she just wants to punish you. Anyway, I had something else to tell you. I'm going to England for a year to learn English. By the time I get back, you'll be out of prison." Claude looked into her eyes and said with resentment, "Please, don't play any more games with me." With that, he immediately left the visiting room. That night, just as everyone was getting ready to work in the tunnel, some guards suddenly showed up at their cell. Everyone was stunned. Vasselin asked the guard, "So late at night, all of a sudden?" From behind, Roland said, "Looks like they don't trust us anymore." The guard said sternly, "You all have good records, but duty is duty." The guard lifted the boxes on the floor to check. He also removed the cardboard sheet to look. For a moment, they thought he had figured something out, and that it would be difficult for them to get away now. But just then, another guard from the next cell shouted, "Something looks wrong over here." Seeing all this, the head guard immediately sounded the alarm and called all the guards. They immediately started searching the other cell, but they didn't seem to find anything. Then they started moving towards the next cells, where they were a bit more suspicious. As soon as the guards moved towards the other cells, Manu nervously said to Roland, "We have to hurry now or we'll get caught." Manu and Roland immediately went down and started digging the tunnel again. Manu was breaking through the tunnel ahead and Roland was clearing the rubble. After a while, Roland came up and Claude went down in his place. Claude also cleared rubble while Manu continuously broke through the tunnel. Finally, Manu saw a way through to the other side of the tunnel. Excited, he told Claude, and together they broke down the wall. On the other side of the wall was a new sewer system. They both went inside and started looking for a way out. After a while, they found an iron lid, a manhole, which opened onto the road. When they opened the lid, there was an open street in front of them, right behind the prison. The prison building was clearly visible. They both immediately returned to the cell and told their friends, "We found a way. It leads to the road behind the prison." Everyone was overjoyed to hear this. Roland said, "We leave tonight." Then a small lottery was held for the escape. Vasselin put slips of paper in a box and one by one names were drawn. The first name was Vasselin, the second was Gio, the third Manu, the fourth Roland, and the last was Claude. Vasselin said to Claude, "If you want, I can go in your place." Just then, Gio said, "Any of you can take my place because I'm not escaping." Everyone was shocked. Claude asked, "Why?" Gio replied, "I've already told Roland everything. You guys can talk about it while you're escaping." Everyone fell completely silent. Just then, a guard came and said, "Claude, the warden wants to see you. Come with me." Claude put on his jacket and left. Manu asked the officer, "Where are you taking him?" The officer simply said, "You don't need to know." Hearing this, everyone understood he was being taken to the warden, and now all their fear came rushing out. Claude was taken and made to sit in front of the warden. The warden asked, "What case are you in for?" Claude said, "My wife accused me of trying to kill her with a gun. She brought a shotgun to kill me. I tried to snatch it from her and the gun went off." The warden asked, "Why didn't your wife drop the charges?" Claude said in surprise, "How would I know?" The warden said calmly, "Your wife loves you. She has dropped all the charges." Claude was stunned to hear this. He asked happily, "So can I go?" The warden said, "Maybe. Your case will be finalized today or tomorrow. If everything goes well, you'll be free." At that, the happiness vanished from his face because his friends were planning to escape that very night. The warden noticed his distress and asked him, "Why are you so worried? You're about to be released, you idiot." A little later, Claude returned to the cell, but his face was gloomy. He told everyone, "My wife dropped the charges." Vasselin immediately said, "So that means you won't escape with us?" Claude said, "I'm going with you. Yeah, my life could have been better than yours. If the case isn't dropped, I'll have to serve 5 years in prison, and if I don't show up in court, the whole case could be dismissed." Everyone relaxed a little, but Manu was still a bit suspicious. He asked directly, "You were with the warden for 2 hours. That's all you talked about?" Claude said angrily, "I thought of you as friends, and you're still doubting me?" When Claude spoke like that, everyone started to trust him again. Manu also apologized to him for his questions. Night came and everyone was ready to escape. Gio was standing guard by the door. Then they all removed the cardboard sheet. Gio peeked outside and saw that everything was clear. But as soon as he pushed the glass, a whole group of guards was standing on the other side. Gio immediately said, "Manu, there are guards outside." Everyone understood that their plan had failed, and it was because of Claude. Everyone's anger turned on Claude. Claude shouted, "I didn't want this to happen." Manu pushed him, but by then, the guards had entered the cell. They separated Claude and made everyone else line up. An officer peeked into the tunnel and saw their escape route. On the warden's orders, Claude was put in another cell. The others were constantly staring at him as if they wanted to kill him. He couldn't meet anyone's eyes either. Without a word, he quietly went into the new cell. The door closed, and the story ends here. So, what do you think? Did Claude do the right thing or the wrong thing? Let me know in the comments. See you in the next video.